Hi, my name is Listiner Inspires, and I am looking to change the narrative of what trauma and abuse looks like. From shame, silence, and stigma to support and solutions. From hopelessness and rejection to healing and recovery. How do I plan on doing that? By bringing awareness that the problem that goes with not talking about what you've been through, not addressing it, not only affects that individual, but it affects us as a community. It affects us as a society. Hey. Happy Tuesday. It's Listiner Inspires with your Teach, Lead, and Heal live teaching series. Woo. How you guys doing? How y'all doing? Whatever time you tune into it, whether you catch the replay or you watch it live, thank you. Your time is valuable, and I will do not take your time for granted. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, depending on where you're tuning in from. If you're tuning in from YouTube, you can like and subscribe and share. If you're tuning in from Facebook, make sure you like and share. And if you're tuning in from LinkedIn, make sure you follow me there. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in today. Today is the Living Beyond Trauma Forgiveness the wrap up. And so I'm going to be wrapping up and dropping some knowledge nuggets from the 3 parts of forgiveness that I've taught over the last few months. Starting with accepting, accepting, and action. And so, but let me introduce myself for those who may not know. My name is the Listiner Inspires. I'm an award-winning author. I'm a healing and recovery accountability expert, as well as speaker and workshop facilitator. I am also the owner of Rock Your Rebel, which is a creative collaborative consulting company that helps ministries and ministers bring forth the vision that God has given them to start to do it boldly for the kingdom of God. And so I am here to do my wrap up teaching series. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. Healing is a journey. Let me just say that. And healing is for everyone. And so I started doing lives. I actually started out my lives maybe a few years ago with espresso shot of inspiration. And those were literally like maybe 60-second videos that I actually will record and upload. And that was my way to like overcome, like, I guess you can call it stage fright, being in front of the camera, because I knew that I had valuable information to provide, and I wanted to be obedient. And so I did started there. And then every now and then I would do lives. I started the Healing is a Journey quarterly series of conferences, which is now a ministry. And that kicked off a lot 2019. And then in 2020, when COVID hit, though, it became virtual. And so that's when I really started being more active on YouTube and Facebook with these teachings. And so this year I've started back, and the teachings will be basically in the order of the books that they're from, but a little bit more detail. And so this last few months teaching was talking about forgiveness, but it was talking about the 3 parts of forgiveness and how forgiveness is the beginning of your healing journey. And so this is the first part of I have a four-part journal book series that breaks down the 4 different components on your healing journey. And so the first part talks about healing. It talks about hope. It talks about forgiveness. And some of the things that I talked about are in here in this book, and some of them are just based on just sitting down with the Lord and just really meditating and thinking about what does healing look like? What does the journey look like? What do people need to know when they're on that journey? What are some things that I've learned on that journey? And so knowledge nuggets came from that, because I would find in the middle of me talking, teaching, even just creating, I had these revelatory moments like, wow, that was good, Lord. And I knew, first of all, God gets all the credit, because if it wasn't for him giving me the wisdom and the insight, I would not be able to do the things that I do. And so I started to call them knowledge nuggets, because there's knowledge from the Lord. It's like just little drop, like how, I guess similar to chicken nuggets. It's not the whole chicken, but it's enough to satisfy you, the little nuggets. And so the knowledge nuggets came about. And so today, what I am doing is taking knowledge nuggets from the three parts of forgiveness, the three videos that I've done thus far in the last few months, and just giving it to you so that you can, it's like a refresher. And so without further ado, let me start with the first knowledge nugget. We're going to break it down by sections. So I started off with acknowledge. Acknowledging what has happened to you is important on your healing journey, because if you do not acknowledge it, then how can you start your healing? And so your healing comes when you are willing to address what's been done to you. And if you're not willing to address it, that means you don't want to be healed. I'm just going to be straightforward and real with you, because you cannot heal from something you're not willing to confront and address and deal with. When you don't acknowledge what's been done to you, then you're most likely operating in a space of unforgiveness. Because if someone has um, done something to you, abusive, caused some type of trauma, and you are not willing to address what happened to you, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm likely to say that you are walking in unforgiveness, because you haven't even addressed what happened. So then, how are you even moving to forgive what was done to you and those parties that were responsible for what happened to you? And so we have to look at the fact that forgiveness is not for them, it's for us. And I will keep saying it. I know it's been said over and over again, but I'm a living testimony that if you forgive those things that's happened to you, you will start to see the fruits of your life, the fruits of your labor start to grow and produce the things that God wants it to do. If you hold on to unforgiveness, which usually um, has byproducts of resentment, anger, bitterness, you won't go very far. You just won't. It will drag you down. It's a heavy burden to carry, and I will say, I'm going to tell you now, release it so that you can move forward in the greatness that God has in store for you. Um, these are not going to be in any specific. These will not be in any specific order, because I'm going to just go as the Holy Spirit leads me. And I will not probably do all, because I have about 30 or 40 of these all together. I most likely will not do all of them on this live, because I don't want to overwhelm you. So I'm going to just give you some key pointers. Okay. For those that are taking notes, and if you stay to the end, I have a surprise for you, because I'm always about creating things that are useful and impactful for those who are trying to live beyond their trauma in their healing. So another thing I want you to understand is that oftentimes we are in, nope, I'm skipping around. I don't want to skip too much around. Okay, so I want you to understand that when you confess what's been done to you, when you acknowledge it, it no longer has the power to hold you hostage in your past. Think about that. Like when you face those demons head on, you face those things that you've experienced head on, and you start to address it, you start to acknowledge it, you start to deal with it. It no longer has the power to hold you hostage to the past pain. It no longer has the power to hold you hostage to the past trauma responses, because now you're going to be moving and healing, and you're going to be having tools that you can use to move beyond those responses, to move forward in your healing. Before I move any further, let me just say that therapy is most definitely needed. If you've experienced any type of abuse, any type of traumatic experience, you should definitely get help. Get help, because you cannot do this alone. No one should want to walk on any journey alone, when especially with specifically when it comes to healing, because there'll be things that will come up. There'll be things that will be magnified, that maybe a lost memory will be retrieved. You need tools. You need a professional to help you with the tools that you would need to work through that process. And so that I wanted to just say that, to put that out there. Because when you're uncovering the wounds that then you start to, when you are uncovering these wounds and you start to tackle them head on, you will probably have some triggers. You will probably start to feel some things that maybe you did not want to feel. And a lot of time that is why most people don't want to, or hesitant about starting healing, because it's like, I don't want to feel this pain. I don't want to relive those memories. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to address that. And trust me, I get it. When you've gone through something, you want to kind of just move beyond, keep it moving. You don't want to have to try to you don't want to keep thinking about what happened. You don't want to keep thinking about what was done to you. And I totally understand. But in order to heal so that you can see what's on the other side of that, so you can see what life looks like beyond the trauma, you have to address it. You have to come face to face with it. Um, Respect yourself enough to acknowledge that you are hurting. Respect yourself enough to acknowledge that you are hurting. When I looked up the definition of acknowledge, and I believe I looked up the synonym for respect, the word respect came up, and I'm like, that's interesting. But you know, when you respect yourself, you want what's best for yourself. You carry yourself a certain way. There's certain things that you will or would not do when you are respecting yourself. So why not add that healing as part of I respect myself, I love myself, I want to be healed. And so I'm going to acknowledge that I have been hurt. I've gone through some stuff that might have made me, respond certain ways, act a certain way, do certain things, and start to move forward in that, acknowledging that you need healing and that you cannot do it alone and that you will not do it alone. When you acknowledge what happened to you, you also start that forgiveness process because you're acknowledging something traumatic happened to me. X, Y, and Z were part of what happened to me. I forgive X, Y, and Z. I forgive what happened to me. I forgive myself for blaming myself. You see, there's like a three parts to that as well. And that is so freeing because you're not allowing the pain of your past to cause you more pain repetitively. The second part of this is acceptance. Acceptance does not mean you when you accept what happened to you, it's not that you accept that it was okay, but you accept that this is my truth. This is what was done. This was not okay. This made me feel like X, Y, and Z. This has caused me to respond to life a certain way. This is was not acceptable. These are all you are accepting the truth of what was your experience without accepting that it saying that it was okay. Because accepting the truth does not mean that you're accepting the fact that it was okay that it happened. No, that's not what we're talking about. And when you're accepting the truth of what will happen to you in your past by acknowledging it and by addressing it, you see how they kind of both tap together. You are exposing an enemy, and you're exposing was tried to stay hidden. Oftentimes there are certain triggers and traits and characteristics that is not who it's not what God instilled in us. And when we go through any type of trauma or abuse, certain type of characteristic and things start to manifest from what has happened to us. And we might just think, well, that's just who I am, this is how I am. No, it's most likely not. If you really were to sit down and just go through the process of healing, you will start to notice certain things will shift, and you're like, oh, I no longer do X, Y, and Z. I no longer act like X, Y, and Z because a lot of our responses, a lot of our mannerisms oftentimes come from what we've experienced. And if most of our life we've experienced traumatic things, we've experienced abuse, then the byproduct of that can be the spirit of rejection, loneliness, feelings of unworthiness, brokenness, bitterness, anger, resentment, all these things. Having an attitude, being snappy, being emotionally unwell. These are all byproducts of not starting your healing process by not accepting the truth of what you've gone through and exposing these things that are trying to stay hidden in your life. And so being in denial doesn't make what happened to you any less real. Let me say it again. Being in denial does not make what happened to you any less real. That's like me denying the fact that I need to get my hair redone, right? It doesn't make it less obvious that I need to get my hair redone. I mean, I can be in denial and, you know, gel my edges down, put a scarf on until 2 more weeks, but that's being in denial because I need to get this redone. Similar, not on the same level, but we do that often. And why do we do that? We try to deny, like, oh, I'm not going to deal with that. It was in the past. What happened will happen. Let it be. It's done. But is it though? Trauma and abuse is not just done. It plants a seed that grows. It starts to build roots underneath the surface, deep within. So it's never ever done unless you address it, pull it out, expose it, and stop being in denial. The sooner you deal with it, the quicker you start to heal. Accept that the experience was indeed traumatic, but it wasn't your fault and you need help. I'm going to say that again. Accept that the experience was indeed traumatic and it wasn't your fault and that you need help. Because somehow when we go through these experiences, we try to tell ourselves, well, that's not going to happen to me again because I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. But if you've been abused, how is it your fault? But you do want to recognize the cause and effects of the abuse and trauma so that you don't repeat the cycle. What does that mean? You don't want to constantly put yourself in spaces with individuals who don't have your well-being in mind, who don't see you or value you. And so being aware of the cycle of trauma and abuse, there's a cycle that happens. And a lot of times it's those who've gotten abused, those who've experienced trauma sometimes end up being their abuser, or they put themselves in more spaces with their abuse. So until you start that healing process, and you can stop that cycle, that repetitive vicious cycle that happens when you go through trauma and abuse. I want you to accept everything that God has for you, by also accepting the fact, and I'm going to say this again, that what happened to you was not your fault. It was not. No matter if you was a child, a teenager, or adult, it was not your fault. And accept that God has great things for you, that your life does not end because something traumatic has happened to you. I want you to accept that you are worthy of love, that you are worthy of a life that's filled with joy. You are worthy of peace. You are worthy of a life that's filled with freedom, wholeness, and healing. Excuse me. You are worthy of all that because you are alive. God created you, so you're worthy. I want to move on to actions where I believe that speaking, talking, declarations are great, but not when you power that, when you couple that with actions, that's powerful. Just like, faith without work is dead, that scripture, similar to when you're praying, when you're asking God to do X, Y, and Z, it is great when you're asking him to do X, Y, and Z, but it's even greater when you move in faith, when you move as an action, believing that he will do X, Y, and Z. That's what moves mountains. If you pray for a mountain to be moved and you go and you get ready to push that mountain out the way, knowing that God's he's about to partner with you with his awesome power, and boom, that mountain's about to be moved. And that's what action is all about in healing. It's okay, I want to be healed. You acknowledge that then some things that happen to you and you need some healing. You're going to start forgiving. Okay, you've accepted the truth of it. This is what the reality was of my life, but I want to move on and I don't know how, so I need help. And so that action is taking accountability that you are responsible for your healing. No one else. You cannot expect anyone else to want your healing more than you. I can come and I can drop knowledge nuggets all day long, but until you want that healing for yourself, until you are willing to take the necessary action steps to go get it, it's just gonna be you watching another video, like you're scrolling through social media. And let's not make that our reality. Let's start taking action steps. Let's stop going to woe is me, and start going to wow, it's me. Period. Okay? Let me say that again for you. Let's stop saying woe is me and start going to wow, it's me. Wow, I'm doing this. Wow, I'm starting my healing process. Wow, okay, This is how, life and healing looks. Wow, I'm feeling the freedom, right? And so your efforts to move forward must be intentional. You need to be intentional. Like, yes, you want healing, right? But how are you going to move about in doing that? Be intentional. Just like how if you were setting a goal for your life, for your finances, for your business, you know, whatever goals you may be setting, you will be intentional. If you say, I want to lose weight, okay, your intentional steps will be, okay, I'm going to get a gym membership. I'm going to work out X amount of days for so many minutes a day. I'm going to cut out this food and add this food. Those are intentional steps, right? Why would your healing be any different? You have to set intentional goals that are centered around healing, forgiveness, and wholeness. Example is, okay, if you have forgiveness, you write down one name of a person that hurt you, and you every day set your intentions on, I'm forgiving them. If you have to say it every day before God, before the Lord, I forgive X, Y, and Z for what was done. I forgive, until you start to feel that release. Okay, healing. That action step is seeing a therapist, admitting that you need some help because you cannot do this alone, and going to see a therapist, researching therapists in your insurance plan. If you don't have insurance, looking for resources to find subsidized payments for insurances or a therapist. Those are action steps. And then with your wholeness, not allowing yourself to fall into the victim mentality mindset. Yes, this happened to you. Yes, it was not great. It was bad, absolutely horrible. But you have overcome. You are a survivor. You're moving beyond that trauma into your healing. And you're walking into your wholeness. Because being whole doesn't mean everything is perfect, but it means that you've acknowledged these things, you've accepted some things, you've addressed some things, you've let go of some things, you're processing through some things. It's baby, wholeness is a place where you live, and you should want to live and reside as one with the Lord. Okay. Be patient with yourself. When you're unpacking trauma and abuse, it's gonna take some time. This is not an overnight process. This is not something that you can wake up and decide and it's done. It's not like baking cookies. It's even baking cookies is a process. When you wake up and decide you want some cookies, what do you have to do? Make sure you have all the ingredients. If you're baking them from scratch, okay. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're not a baker. Maybe I'm gonna go to the store and buy some. Okay, well, if you decide you want some cookies, you gotta get up, decide. Okay, I want cookies. What store am I gonna go to? Get shower, put some clothes on, get in the car, and drive to that store. Look in the aisle, see if they have the cookies, purchase them. Those are all action steps. Those are all things that you're doing, right? So why would you not do the same thing when it comes to your healing? Being patient with yourself as you unpack the different things that have been packed down due to maybe years of just being in denial, due to maybe just not knowing how to get help, not knowing where to start. You know, be patient with yourself. It's a process. And you have to be an active participant in your healing journey. You have to be actively involved in it. You cannot just say, I want healing. I hope someone comes my way that I can afford, or I hope, I can get a therapist, or I hope, there's a program out there. Okay, you can hope, but you need to apply. You can get up, start looking, get up and do some research, get up and connect, get up and find, we have resources really at our fingertips. There's so much that we can look up on our phones, on our laptops, on our tablets. Why not make the best of it and do that? I mean, if we really think about it, there is no excuse to finding resources. It's just you need to get up and do it, okay? Because healing is your responsibility, not the responsibility of those that hurt you. It's not. I mean, it's a harsh reality, and I wouldn't even say it's unfortunate, but it's the reality is that when people hurt you, they just go about their business and keep moving. They go and live their life, and you have to pick up pieces. You have to pick up the pieces of what's been done, but you don't have to do that alone. You don't. Just taking those steps to do it. I'm gonna give you one last knowledge nugget, and I'm gonna sign on out of here. Okay. Let's see. those that are connected with you will reap the benefits of you being healed. We are all created with a purpose. And within that purpose, there are a set of people that God has connected to us that will benefit from the purpose that He has instilled in us. And if we're walking around here unhealed and broken, we are not holding up our end of the deal and being purpose being who God created us to be. And therefore essentially not helping those that are connected to us, even if you don't know this. And so healing is your birthright. Go get your healing because it belongs to you. Okay. Go get your healing. Start your healing journey today because you are worthy of it. You are due it. Okay. And so those are just a few knowledge nuggets that I just decided to drop on you guys. Announcement that I'm making is I'm actually gonna create a ebook with a lot of knowledge nuggets I've done for the first book. So it'll be like the counterpart to this, but it'll be in an ebook form and it'll just be knowledge nuggets, things that you can reflect on. I might do 30 of them. I don't know yet, but I'm definitely working on it, and I should have that ready for you guys soon. How soon? What's the date? I don't know when it's done. But I want if you want to be the first to get the promo code for the ebook, make sure you subscribe to my newsletters so that you can go ahead and be notified when it's ready. Get that promo code, and I'm gonna make the ebook affordable because I mean these are things that have helped me along my journey and things that that the Holy Spirit just dropped in my spirit, and so I want to share it with you guys. And that's it. I will be on vacation for a minute, so I will not be doing my teachings until the end of July. Maybe I think July 19th I'll start back again. So in the meantime, you guys enjoy. There are replays on my YouTube channel. You can also go to my website, teachleadheal.com. Scroll to the bottom. There's a YouTube player that has all of this year's Teach, Lead, and Heal live series. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Have a great day. Enjoy your summer. Stay warm. No, stay cool and stay hydrated. Peace out.